Wagwan people, it's your boy Brian Swaz Duarte and welcome to the channel. Today I will have my first tactical breakdown of the season, a Nations League semi-final between Germany and Portugal, a game that Portugal won with 1-2. Before we're going to get into that, we're going to look first at the tactical structures of both teams, and first we have a look at both managers. On one side you had Julian Nagelsmann, a manager that is known to be tactically flexible, that likes to play with formation. You've seen that before when he was at Bayern Munich. He will play one formation the first half and then change it in the second half. So a manager that likes to play tactically and someone that likes to challenge his players as well with different systems. On the other side, a manager who's a bit more stubborn. You have Roberto Martínez, who used to play a 3-4-3 formation with Belgium, and he just took that formation and brought it to Portugal, which brought a lot of critics, but I think as a manager that he's actually quite tactically flexible. And today he was the one with a big surprise, because when you look at the team sheet before the game, you're looking for a right back, so there was no Dalot in the lineup, there was no Nelson Semedo in the lineup, so you was thinking about who might play that wing-back position, because there was only one player that might play that wing-back position, but that's on the other side, and that was Pedro Neto. So I wasn't really sure he was going to start, and then you see the official lineup or the official team sheet of UEFA, and then you see that João Neves was on that right-back position. But let's just get into the lineups first. The lineups that was on paper, first we're going to start with Germany. You had in goal ter Stegen. The back three was Tah, Kog and Waldemar Anton. The left wing back was Mittelstadt. The right wing back was Kimmich. The midfield two, or the pivot, was Pavlovic with Goretzka. Then you had Sane, and with behind the striker, Nick Woltermade. And on the flip side, Portugal, on paper, because that was a bit difficult to find out, on paper, they had their lineup with João Neves on the right back position. You had Ruben Dias, Inacio, and Nuno Mendes on the left back position. The midfield two was with Bernardo Silva and Ruben Neves. In the number 10 position, you had Bruno Fernandes. Left wing was Pedro Neto. Right wing was Trincao. And then obviously in the number 9 position, the man always there, Cristiano Ronaldo. And then obviously in goal, you had Diogo Costa as well. So from the start, you saw the lineup, and I wasn't quite sure who's going to play right back or right wing back. So I was guessing a little bit. Maybe I thought, okay, maybe he's going to push Ruben Neves into that position. But then you saw the official lineup by UEFA, and then you saw that João Neves was playing right back. Not a position that he plays a lot for PSG. When the game was being played, you saw why certain decisions were made. So the first decision that was made was obviously João Neves in the right back position. And it was a bit, I would say, uncomfortable for him. Yes, he was allowed to invert, and what invert means is basically you start from your full-back position, for example, and then you come into midfield. But inverting has to be something natural. Can't be forced, can't be a set thing. You have to feel the space, you have to feel the time, you have to know when to invert. And I felt like João Neves wasn't really clocked onto that for me in this game. But let's just show how Portugal inverted first. So Inacio's left-footed centre-back. You have Ruben Dias, he's a right-footed centre-back. So there were two ways where Portugal made a back three. That was either with Dias pushing wider, Inacio coming inside, and then obviously Nuno Mendes playing more as a left central centre-back. And then you had Neto coming then wide. You had Bernardo Silva, who was played in the position that I like him more, coming to pick up the ball and help Portugal come out of pressure, so that was very good. Then you had Ruben Evans here, and then the only thing that happened in this situation is that when Nuno Mendes inverts or comes inside, basically, then João Neves has to push up, and then you have Trincao in this right pocket, in this right half space position to receive the ball. So this happened a few times where you saw João Neves on the right wing back position, but I don't like him there. I think where Portugal maybe missed the trick was with João Cancelo, because he was a player that can play as a wing back and play as a winger offensively, but also can play as a traditional fullback, and in other cases, as you saw with Man City, can come inside as a midfielder. So when Portugal inverted to the other side, and then it was a bit interesting to see, was that you see Nuno Mendes pushing up high a little bit. You see Pedro Neto, he can play both sides of the wing, obviously, but then he had to come a little bit more inside. You had Inacio, because he's left foot, comes into left centre-back position. Ruben Dias plays centre-back. And then you have Ruben Neves, who vacates space in midfield and drops deeper to help construct the build-up. And then in this moment, it would be that João Neves will come inside, and then you have Trincao coming wider. And then this is where Portugal would try to have their overload sometimes in position with João Neves coming inside here, and then Trincao, who's not really a traditional winger like that, will come here and they will have at times a 4 against 3 situation. But because of the qualities that Ruben Neves has on the ball, I understand why you drop in deeper, and I understand why you would want João Neves in here. But it felt a bit forced for me. Another situation was without the ball when Germany were attacking. Yeah, Portugal played in a back 4, and then you can see in positions like that João Neves is a bit uncomfortable doing this 1v1 job against Mittelstadt, for example. So it wasn't really easy for him as well when to step out, how to press. And even in that 1v1 duels, he wasn't really that great. And that's why he played with a Ruben Neves as well, because he's a bit more defensive-minded than you would say a Vitinha or Bernardo Silva. So I understand why he put Ruben Neves here, who helped out a lot on this right-hand side to give cover to João Neves. If he got beat, then he would be there also to protect him. So that was a good decision from Roberto Martinez to play with Ruben Neves. But then on other occasions where he would come inside, he would add something, but Portugal just weren't calm enough on the ball to really get through the press of Germany. So that was really hard. And like I said, in those offensive positions, João Neves wasn't really that great. Germany, they came up first and they scored the 1-0 with, for me, a good goal, because Walter Mada was causing trouble for Ruben Diaz. The whole game was spinning him. So every time there was like a little scoop ball to the striker, he held it up, could bounce it towards Witz and Sane in between the half spaces to receive the ball and play from there. And even for the goal, I think it was Ruben Neves that was on him, because Portugal tried to play out from the back all the way to João Neves. João Neves then plays it into Trincao. He receives it in the wrong area because he receives it back to goal. So he always has to come back, takes a heavy touch. They recover the ball, cross the ball in. He blocks the centre back because of his positioning and because of his strength. That's why for me, I felt like he had a good game. And I think that's where the game changed, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But he keeps one player pinned. You saw Wirtz coming into the box with a good header, and Germany score 1-0. And then the question is, obviously, you've tried something new, and you know how managers are. They're quite stubborn. You've tried something new. How long would it take for you to then maybe like change the way you want to play? And then it took about another 12 minutes before he made subs, and then he made 3 subs for me, which changed the game completely. So he put on Semedo, he put on Vitinha, and he put on Conceição, and he took off Trincao, took off João Neves, and then obviously took out Ruben Neves as well. And then he just like for like subs. So he went to midfield, he went to right back position, and he went to right wing position. And then Portugal felt a bit more natural. And I'm not saying that because they won the game, but it just felt like they were playing much more to their strengths. The only thing that was a bit weird is because Nelson Semedo is a traditional fullback or wingback. He went inside still. And instead of Vitinha pushing up, he just went a bit wider, and then you created the square like this. But when he came inside, he wasn't inverting to receive the ball centrally. He was inverting to open up the passing lane to Conceição, who's very good 1v1, and it broke down his defender a few times in that position. Then, obviously, with Vitinha, you have more speed of the ball, so you can press higher, you can press faster. He's more press resistant as well. Can dictate play from lower positions. So that was very good. And then, like I said, Conceição very good in that 1v1 position and has something special to him as well with a final pass or a goal. So that was those were 3 good subs from Roberto Martinez. And then even for the goal, what happened basically was you had Nelson Semedo and you had Conceição wide, and that was very good, because I remember here Bernardo Silva had the ball in this position. He had the ball here. He makes this run inside, takes the centre back with him. So now he creates a gap here, plays it into Conceição, beats his man 1v1, and then bends it in far post. And that's where the game changed a little bit, with just making that simple run and having someone here wider in that position who's very good in that 1v1 positioning. With Trincao, you have someone who's very good in that half space, but Conceição is good in the half space, and he's very good out wide as well. And that's where the game changed for me. And maybe one other situation as well is when Germany took off Walter Mada, and he put on Fulkrug. Fulkrug is a good striker, but he's not the same physical profile as Nick Woltemade is. And then Portugal had it easier. When the balls were being chipped in, they won more of the duels 1v1, and they just had less trouble with Fulkrug in the number 9 position instead of Woltemade. So that was one thing for me, where both managers changed the game. In one sense, negatively, you take out Woltemade and you put on Fulkrug, and on the other side, 3 good subs from Roberto Martinez, where he changes the game a little bit just with just different profiles and making sure that you have just more attacking threats with a player like Conceição. So that was something that I've liked a lot. Overall, it was a quite interesting game between two sides. Portugal with their unorthodox 4-2-3-1, but then shifted to a 3-4-3, and then obviously Germany with a 3-4-3 starting formation, which caused Portugal trouble at times as well, with and Sane in those half spaces, and with Nick Woltemade with his physicality. But on the flip side, Portugal, they found a lot of joy with those passes from Inácio to Pedro Neto in that 1v1 situation, but then they weren't clinical enough going forwards. Was a fun game, interesting game, and I hope that you, the people, liked this video. So make sure you smash a like, make sure you leave a comment as well. What did you see? What do you think Portugal needs to do in the next game to win the final? Who do you think is going to win the semi-final between France and Spain? So let me know all those things in the comments. It was your boy Brian Suarez Duarte. Tactical breakdown done, and I'll see you next time.